let others stop you. Find a place and worship God there. Get to know God's voice. Get to know God intimately. And when your time comes, you'll know the voice of your shepherd. And he'll call you home. And you'll know where to go. So at this time, I would like to ask Elizabeth Greenland, who's part of that little writers guild that was informally instituted there. We had a lot of readings over the years, and she is to come now and do a reading or a poem. This isn't a new thing for us, is it? Oh, okay.
Thank you. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Liz Greenland. I only knew John for 3 short years. Just after we moved to Rock Creek, we found Kettle Valley Chapel, and I was welcomed into the women's circle by Lita right away. Shortly afterwards, we met John, and he welcomed us as a brother. John and I had a common interest, which was writing. Just a few days after John was taken from us, Rick and I penned this ode to John Fair. How do you say goodbye to a dear friend? What do you do? What can you say? All we can do is pray. You left your works and words behind for us to remember you by, stories and poems that made us laugh and cry. We will miss the music you played that enhanced the hymns on Sundays. I am sure the angels will embrace you, and in their band you will play. It will take some time for us to heal. It is now all so surreal. But fear not, dear John, for we all have Jesus to lean on until we meet again in heaven. If anybody would like copies, I have a few extra copies. I'll leave them with Lita for you to get some.
So just a little while ago, I met one of Lita's daughters, Julie, and I got to like her instantly. And, and so she's going to come now and have some things to do. I think an open mic or something.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I'm Julia Hedge. I'm John Fair's youngest stepdaughter. I want to invite John's family, if you guys have anything that you'd like to say or any stories you'd like to tell about your dad.
I do.
John? This is John's namesake, also John Fair.
Good day, everyone. I have 2 very vivid memories of my dad. One which is extremely special, as it was the first day I got to go for a walk with my dad hand in hand when I was 2 years old. I remember this in Comox, BC. I don't know how I remember it, I just remember it. And it was a beautiful sunny day, and the birds were singing, and he was singing too as we walked along. The second special day was a day about 8 or 10 years ago when he asked me if I would teach him gold mining. And I felt really special of my father asking me to do this task. We met in Hope, BC, and I asked him what he knew about panning, and he said not very much. I got him to show me what he knew, and immediately he started doing all the wrong things. I laughed at myself and I says, okay, I know what I'm up against now. So I told him to sit down on his stool and just watch me. I will explain it as I go through the process. And as I went through the process, showed him where to dig and the proper panning procedure and got to the end. Lo and behold, this tiny little micro nugget appeared in my gold pan, and he got so excited and asked for that nugget, and it was my pleasure to give it to him. These are the two most favorite days that I spent with my dad. Thank you.
So about a week ago, I was fine. And I said, Mom, you're not going to want to talk because you're probably going to cry a little bit. So here I am. Anyways, I went through a lot of information in the first couple days that I was here because I'm the executor on John's will, and there was a lot of stuff to go through. After I'm done talking about this little excursion that I went on, anybody else who wants to come up and talk, the mic is going to be here, and we're happy to have anybody come up, and while we're all socializing and chatting, if you have something you'd like to say, some story you'd like to tell about John, you're welcome to come up here and give us some words and tell us how you felt, or tell us how John made you feel, and share, commune a little bit on the special guy that he was, because he's pretty special. Anyways, my sister Sandy came over from Ireland, which was great, because we all got to hang out and see each other, and all through this whole thing, all I can think is how much John would just loved all the stuff going on, and how sad it is that he isn't here, but he is still, I think, for as long as anybody remembers him, he's still here. So here's what I learned in the last week. Write your wills. John wrote a will. I'm going to fight with this unless I take it off of here. So, John wrote a will. It was 10 years old. So not current. None of the information in it was current, except for he's still married to my mom, so you know that was current. And I'm still alive, so I'm the executor, and that was current. So write your wills, please. Take some time. Talk to the people that you love and care about, and make sure that your ducks are as in a row as your ducks can possibly be. John was not expecting. I think he was expecting to live until he was 248 when he was 48. And every year that changed a little bit. So he was 78. And so he was, okay, 546 in cat years. So that's definitely a thing. We're not expecting to go at any particular moment in time, but we don't know. So here's a tip from my sister Sandy. List all your bank accounts and credit card information somewhere, all your RSPs, all your details about where you've managed to stow your valuables over the years. And give it to somebody that you trust, or seal it and put it with your will, because without that information, there's a lot of digging through, a lot of paperwork that may or may not be something that you want people to be digging through haphazardly. So update it regularly. That was the other note. I told my partner that I was going to give a 40-minute lecture on how hard it was to be an executive, but I'm not going to do that, but there's still a couple more notes here. Sorry about that. Record all your bills and subscriptions and include them with your accounts so that people know how to cancel things after you pass on. Update this often as you need to. And I'd like to challenge everyone here to do these things if they haven't done it already. Take some time to have this hard conversation with those around you. John and I had a very interesting ins and outs, rocky relationship. I am not a believer in Christ or in any higher power other than the higher power that I find within myself. So we regularly came to words on that, and he was very good at telling exactly how he felt, and that was wonderful. Without judgment, he could tell me what he felt and what he thought, and I could have that conversation with him without it being, without it breaking down into a holy war of some sort. So that was good. So if you're holding on to something, some issue with someone that you love that is still alive, take the opportunity now, while you are both still alive, to think about how you would feel if that person died and how you would carry on, knowing that you held on to that pain, however great or small it is, knowing that you held on to that pain instead of forgiving and loving each other. And John used to always say to me, the opposite of fear, the opposite of love is not hate, the opposite of love is fear. So if you can, find a way to overcome your fear and just let yourself love into that horrible, difficult, easy, niggling, minor situation, whatever it is. Just breathe a little love into it and let it go. And talk to that other person. I made the effort in December of last year to start thinking about it, and then in spring to start writing John about it, and then in summer he came to visit me in Ashcroft, and we forgave each other and moved on. And because of that, I am able to do the things that I have to do with an open and good heart for it, because I know that he would want me to do the best I can in this situation. He had a way of mining for gold, panning for gold in rivers, and also, as one of John's friends said recently, panning for gold in people, and finding the very best he could and thinking the very best he could of them at all times. It was hard to get a bad word out of him about other people, but it was easy to get bad words out of him about himself. So he wanted to make it, he strove his whole life to become strong, become all those things that you think you're supposed to be for another person, but to just take a deep breath and be yourself for another person is the very best thing that you can do, I think, in that situation. So all in all, I'm going to miss my stepdaughter a lot. He was my friend and my mentor, which can be scary sometimes. If you knew John at all, having him as a mentor can be scary. But also real, and he was good at being real. He was my friend and my fellow Gemini, and he told endless stupid Gemini jokes that only Geminis understood, also known as dad jokes to some of the dads. I'm going to pass the torch of dad joke telling on to my nephew, Kelson, because he told some whoppers at the dining table last night. So John, I love you. Thank you for being everything that you were in my life, and thank you for giving me this interesting lesson and exercise at the end of your life to, cause me to adult just that much harder than I've ever adulted before. Anybody else who wants to have a word about John, you're welcome to come up and have a speak. Just want to welcome to the stage another John, John Lawrence Fairbrother, my favorite uncle.
So, when I phoned my sister back from a letter about something important, I was very shocked to hear that it had happened. John had taught me how to put tools away where they belong, how to cut wood safely. Some of my dreams involve John. I remember rescuing Julie when she was a very small girl from a cold, deep puddle and warming her up with towels. So, yeah, that's about all I have to say. I really miss him. He taught me stuff.
I only knew John for about 2 years, and mostly because of the men's prayer breakfast at Martin's. And I always thought of him as a beautiful Christian. And for Lydia and all the family, I'd like to just sing a song for all of you. And then if anybody knows how the song goes, you're welcome to join in. We just keep falling in love with you, falling in love with you, falling in love with you. We just keep falling in love with you, falling in love with you, falling in love with you. Life gets sweeter and sweeter as the days go by. Oh, what a love between my Lord and I. We just keep falling in love with you over and over and over and over again. God bless you.
Hello. My name is Jay. I'm the son of Julie, who just was up here. And I just recently got this big, beautiful book from another fella named John. And I was just reading the book of John, the very beginning of it. And it says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was a God. And this was in the beginning with God. All things came into existence through him. And apart from him, not even one thing came into existence." And it's fascinating to think about. And it's very interesting. The way it went out was that he was on the way to church at the time. And I think it might have brought some levity to his heart that he was going to a place of worship because he did love God so much. You know. When I think about him, I mostly think about the fellow I grew up with when I was younger, and really adored him because he was always happy and very joyful and had a big smile and very fun to hug. But I don't know that I loved him quite as much as I find I appreciate him now. Just kind of unfortunate, but you know, c'est la vie. At the time when I heard it was Monday after. It was just a day after, and I found that I was really angry and really sad because I started asking myself all these questions like, why didn't I know this earlier? When was the last time I talked to this guy? Why wasn't I? But that's just rumination. It's what you expect after something horrible like that happens, but it's just something you gotta deal with. And it made me realize something as I was thinking about it, because he was a man of, of faith. And in the Bible, a lot of times when they refer to love, they refer to God's love. They refer to the way that when you pick an apple off a tree, it doesn't cry out in pain because it's giving you. It's giving for you. It is an active, complete, unprecedentedly selfless love. When the mountains have hail that pelt them and break apart on their rocks, they do not become heavy with strain and bitter. And when that snow is crunched upon by rowdy hikers or skiers that are climbing down, it does not feel pain because it is giving completely unconditionally. Something I'm really bad at. I am really not able to be completely selfless. I'm just a guy. I don't really have the way of giving down to my very molecules. It's pretty impressive. But John, now that he's passed, living a generous life, as far as I'm concerned, is now able to kind of show the love that the world showed to him in kind by giving everything back. This is how it goes, you know. Every molecule that he gave out in life will return to the earth from whence it came and return to God's love. And I think that's very beautiful. It gives me a lot of comfort. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. I'm really thankful that everybody here could listen, and I hope you have a good rest of your service. Thank you.
Probably don't need this, but I'll use it. Don't be worried, I'm not reading this book to you. Okay. So I want to take back to the day that I got a phone call Sunday afternoon to tell me what had happened to John, and I'm sure I spent 2 weeks in shock, just totally gobsmacked. Nothing like a person just disappearing from the face of the earth is not something that I knew anything about. John and I've got notes here, but I'll just run it off the top of my head. I found out that we moved to the area on the same weekend as Lita, or I did on the same weekend as Lita and John, a Labor Day in '09. By the way, it's snowing, just letting you know. Okay, so found that out later. In the beginning, I didn't meet them right away, but I remember I was selling some books, and John impressed me with his sales. You know, the great salesman, and he was, he truly was, because I think I sold him books at 5 cents, and a few months later I was at the Rock Creek Market, and he was selling them for $2 a pop. So at that point I knew to keep my eye on John, and perhaps learn something in the meantime, and I'll get to it, but John has taught me a lot. And yes, John is, I'm going to use him as a character in one of my books. And he's going to be my buddy in the book, just the way he is, because John can only be John. So, the other thing I want to say is, so that my first meeting was when he took me to the cleaners over my book. But then he had the nerve to ask me for boxes and if I would pack the boxes. And a second thing to note about John, that he was manipulative in his beautiful way. Manipulative. So, okay, and I was thinking what was wrong with this picture, because he's buying them at 5 cents a pop, and he expects me to wrap and carry them at the same time. Well, that didn't last long because, as it happens, John and I are both Geminis. And I know people don't know what's this Gemini thing. believe me, there is a thing about Geminis. Is there not, Rita? We are a different breed of humans. And
Every
we
Gemini
are.
will agree with that.
Yes, and we are all these people in one. You know, that's why I'm a bigger body, because I got all these people inside of me. There's me, myself, and I, and then there's me has a me, myself, and I, and myself has a me, myself, and it goes on, and we are kind of odd. But we're smart. We're smart. Okay, so yeah, I went through that. Now, I became the Columbia Basin, where am I here? I became the Columbia Basin Alliance for Literacy person in the area, and I was putting on writing workshops. Well, John, of course, was there like a dirty shirt, and had the nerve to, the first time around, I mean, it was a battle between John and I all the time. I mean, we were always at loggerheads. And he, our first battle was who gets to sit at the head of the table, you know, because I'm putting on the workshop, John. Yes, John, you write, but I'm putting on the workshop. But then at his house, when we had our meetings, I allowed him to sit at the head of the table, and I took an off seat. So, anyway, so we were always disagreeing. Julie, right? John and I disagreed about the same things, but you know, it doesn't matter. It didn't matter at all. So anyways, came to my writing courses. Not that he needed any help writing it whatsoever. You know, there is, when he was my writing partner, my buddy, my pal, my older brother. And like I said, we sparred like siblings would spar. I never had an older brother. I wanted always to have an older brother. If I have another choice in an older brother, I hope that he would be taller, you know. But maybe have some really good-looking friends, you know, that we're also. But anyways, you know, you can't have everything. I will miss John greatly. I don't know what to say, because like I said, we were well, maybe I'll get to that, but yeah, always disagreeing, always squabbling, and but then what happened was I did meet him at a time that I think he was able to instill in me a belief in myself that I had lost over the past few years. And I know that he will continue to look over my shoulder. I'll be thinking about what I should do, and I will hear your prompting voice, and I'll miss you, John Fair. You, again, were my buddy and my pal. I was honored that you asked me to be the editor of your series, your book series. And because I am a better editor than John, I've never been a better writer, but I'm a better editor. And so we had done it. I had edited the series, or most of it. And then at the end of it, I said, well, John, I really think your characters could be more, you know, just, human? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they were all these super, you know, yeah, you're right. Human. Have some frailties. Like, I mean, make the female detective like donuts or something, you know. But no, she had to be the, you know, whatever. Yeah, you're right. More human. And he understood what I was saying, so we went back and revamped his books. Well, now I'm feeling very guilty because of the revamping to satisfy my needs of more exciting characters. You didn't get to finish the books, but they're there. We'll see. Okay, yeah, who knows when you're going to run out of time, absolutely. But he had so many projects on the go, and he always impressed me with his fortitude. Like, as again, a Gemini thing, we can, you know, we have all these things that we're going to do, want to do, whatever, but we don't seem to have the fortitude to do it, or I don't anyway, but he did. All right, then there's one other thing I came across, and it's actually a phrase that's been going on in my head for a few months now, and I don't know why. I mean, I know the poem, and the phrase is, for whom the bell tolls. It refers to the person that is honored by the ringing of a church bell following the person's death. But For Whom the Bell Tolls comes from a prose work by John Donne in 1624. And he said that because we are all part of mankind, and this is more along my belief system, any person's death is a loss to all of us. Any man's death diminishes me because I am involved in mankind, and therefore never assume to know for whom the bell tolls. And it tolls for thee. No individual person is really all on their own, but all is bound up with other people. In some way, every other person is a part of your own self, or who you really are. So when another person is lost, we lose something too. Hence, the idea that whenever the bell tolls, it tolls for you. Whenever somebody dies, it's as if a part of you dies. We are each unique, valuable individuals. We are each connected and an essential part of our societies and the fabric of humanity. Now, I know John was the poet. You were the only one for poetry writing, but I found a poem that I wrote in 1986. Yes, I am that old. That I would like to read to you, and I think it's appropriate to the moment. Whole book of poetry. I want you to see this, John. Are you looking at my whole book of poetry? Okay. Okay. This one's February 4th, 1986. And I call it Pathways. The roads are many, the time seems short. Why were the choices made as they were? I've come to the stage of my journey in this life where I'm looking to see where I've been and where I'm going. No longer do I judge, for my mistakes have been none. The paths that were taken were chosen to learn. No one is in my life or has ever been in my sphere that was not there for a purpose. There is comfort in this knowledge. The time is now to make my move. The pathways have converged. The pieces now make sense to me. I know what I'm to do. And I even copyrighted that song. And yes, to John. John is one of those people that, well, they're one of a kind, really. We are all one of a kind, but John was even more of a one of a kind. Yeah. And I will never, do you agree? Oh, yeah. And I will never forget you, John. And, but I still hope I'm here a long time to remember you.